Welcome to the Holistic Career Change Podcast. Spoiler alert, we don't discuss conventional, linear, boring career change here. This is the place where we talk about finding an aligned career path that feels like an extension of who you are, where you get paid for being yourself. Forget personality quizzes, soul-crushing scrolling on job sites, and breaking your brain trying to find your why. Join me and many other career changers who've changed their career holistically by first defining who they are at their core and then using this blueprint to design a fulfilling career or business. We use the mind-body-soul approach, and we take into consideration the complexity and multidimensionality of all that you are and want to represent in the world. This is where purpose-led careers are born and built. I'm your host, Vilma Oseita. Let's go. Hello, beautiful, magical ladies and beautiful, magical gentlemen. My goodness, it's been forever and a day since I've recorded a solo episode. And you know what, I'm going to say it. I always say it. I've missed chatting with you so much. I love getting my clients on the podcast and I love them sharing the story, but also I love just chatting to you as well. And I feel like I consciously allowed life to take over, and I've been focusing lately a little more on my clients and the group that I launched versus chatting with you and creating content. So I take full responsibility. It is what it is, and here we are. I have not forgotten about you, and my desire and goal, and I'm going to say it here so I could, and you could keep me accountable. My goal is to make sure that I come back to more regular episodes starting from the new year, because I have so much to share and we have a lot to catch up on. So every now and then when I think about my previous episodes, and if you've listened to them, you know very well, I sometimes have those like ranty episodes, a little bit of tough loving for those of you on a career change and on purpose journey. And I have a sense this is going to be one of those ranty ones. Usually my approach is pretty compassionate, and I do really have so much patience and understanding for those who are transitioning, because it's damn hard to be shifting your identity, to be going into a new industry. It's hard, so hard. And I will never invalidate or downplay all of the internal and external challenges that many of you will face on this path. And having said that, true, real, long-lasting change is not just about, I believe at least, like that nurturing, loving, and accepting sacred feminine. We also need sacred masculine. So today I will be coming in hot, leading with my sacred masculine and with my sun in Aries. Okay, so you've been warned. I actually just come back from a little holiday with a few of my girlfriends, and we went to northern Spain. It was so fabulous. If you haven't been, I feel like northern Spain is so different from southern Spain. And if you're a foodie, you have to go to Basque Country if you haven't been. We went to Bilbao, we went to San Sebastian, and it was not only just incredibly beautiful, and I feel like the nature is gorgeous, it's very close to the French border, but the food was delicious. And I'm not even a foodie, okay? Like, I was shocked. The girlfriends who came with me actually are my ex-colleagues. I used to work with them in my very, very last corporate gig before fully transitioning into coaching. And most of them happen to be native Spanish speakers. So when we were walking around, I would often hear them say, and I don't speak Spanish, but I would often hear them say, que calor, right? Like, because it was quite hot and we're like sweaty. So thinking of this episode, that kind of reminded me that it's going to be hot. Probably it's going to be a little more caliente than usual. And to be honest, I personally love podcasts like this one because it kind of wakes me up and reminds me of my power. But please don't use this episode against yourself either. And I do feel like I need to give my disclaimers before getting into it. I'm also like giving you such an introduction, I think, as if I'm going to be screaming at you, Layla. I'm not. But this episode might not be as applicable for you if you are dealing with mental health challenges. Maybe you have a history of mental health conditions, maybe chronic depression. Then what I share in this episode might be harder for you to implement. So please consume this with caution. But hopefully for the rest of you, it might be inspiring or igniting to hear. So this episode is titled Giving Up. And I want to talk about giving up, but also about how many of us seem to give up way too quickly these days, especially when it comes to chasing our dreams and going after what we want. Because many of us actually give up before we've even started building those new careers or pursuing that new relationship or moving countries before we even attempted to implement anything. I feel like in many ways we forgot how to fight. And again, working with the sacred masculine is, I think, like half of the puzzle. And it is important for us because an aligned life, a business that we're in love with, a business or a career where we don't need a vacation from, is not often served on a silver platter just because we decided that we want it. And yes, the universe will support, the universe will guide us. You'll get your angel numbers, you'll get your signs, you'll have like crazy synchronicities, but by no means does it mean that we won't have to do the work and show up and show out in the process. So many of us get these amazing, inspiring, soul-igniting ideas, and we then quit. We quit when we're faced with the first challenge in our way. What? I hear this often, so often from career changers when they find an aligned direction, before they even attempt to test it out. Even test it out, they're ridden with fears and self-doubt. What if I fail? What if my efforts won't be successful? And on the other hand, totally understand, totally have compassion, spoken about it many times, spoken about the nature of what it is and why it happens. But guess what? Even if you do end up quote unquote failing, which as you know, I don't believe in failure, isn't it better to go after what you believe in and then quote unquote fail than never having tried it at all? Like imagine deathbed situation, like really think about it. What would you prefer? What would you regret more, going after it or never even trying? When I was switching my career, I was very conscious of never letting questions like these, what if I fail? What if I won't succeed? To stay in my head for too long. Of course I would get them. I'm a human being with a normal functioning brain. But I would not let them stay for too long because it's lethal and it kills so many ideas and the best intended efforts. So my very first advice for you is, if you've decided to pursue a new career, if you decided to build your life around your purpose, simply refuse to entertain your ifs. Like refuse to entertain, like you would refuse to entertain rude or, disrespectful people. If someone is disrespectful to you in a restaurant, you'll be like, no, sir, no, thank you. Like, you're not going to be rude to me. I don't know you. I've done nothing wrong with you, so I'm not taking that. I'm not going to let it ruin my mood. You can refuse to entertain those rude and gaslighting inner critics as well. So the only variable that you want to allow in is when and how I'll be transitioning, not if I'll transition. When I will succeed, not if I succeed. Laser focus on that, training your brain to think like that. Because you can't fail if you don't quit. Full stop, period. That's it, you will never fail if you don't quit. So you come to an idea and you burn the boats. Go all in, you start with testing it out, and only then you decide if you want to pursue it or if you need to pivot. You will very rarely know ahead of time whether an idea is really worthwhile pursuing without putting in the work and starting to pursue it. Very little other options or ways. And there are many of you, and I am calling some of you out, who try to decide ahead of time. And of course, checking in with your body, of course, following your intuition are vital parts of decision-making process. But after you've made that decision, you want to follow through Because what will be coming in next is not going to be your intuition. It's not going to be your body communicating to you. It's going to be your survival fears, your residual conditioning fears. They will take over. So, of course, when you start out, you may naturally not be super good at it. But if you're willing to go through that initial uncomfortable feeling of trying something new, you will succeed and you will excel. And I've said it so many times on this podcast. When you really unpack it all to its core, to the very essence of fear and resistance, it all only has to do with feelings that we are either seeking or we're trying to avoid. So when we're starting something new, we're simply avoiding to feel like a failure. We don't want to feel misunderstood. We don't want to feel rejected. We don't want people to make fun of us. It's a feeling. It can't kill us. And can you even fathom how much you'd be able to achieve if you embrace those feelings and you allow them to come in, but you would not allow them to take over? And I truly think that's the secret. If we all learned how to coexist with these inevitable fears, with these gremlin-y thoughts, the world is our oyster. There's nothing you would not be able to achieve. Nothing. Because the only person that stops us is usually us, the primal us. So if you were not chasing and expecting to always have this super elated high feeling, and if you were okay with embracing the shadow side of change, which is inevitable because every single object, person, situation, circumstance has a shadow side. We live in duality. If you manage to embrace that, you would then be able to do the necessary things to usher the change in, even when you don't feel like it. Because there is a lot of misconception that aligned career should only feel good. Of course not. It will still challenge you. Because we're here to grow and learn and experience. That's the name of the game. So I would say that the first enemy in embracing a new career is learning how to combat that yearning and unrealistic expectation of wanting to always feel good and also get your instant gratification fixed. Our mind tends to perceive a goal or this a new career as a singular effort because this part of our brain reticular activating system, the RAS, it tends to generalize, it tends to distort, and it tends to delete information so it would be easier to process. So the way that it will scan and process information is going to be binary usually. Okay, either win or lose. I either have this career and I'm very successful or I'm a loser. But change is not binary. It's a journey. It's a process of trial and error. And often you can only, and I want to capitalize, emphasize, and bold it, only succeed if you make those errors and you then evaluate and learn from them. Because that is the best, that is the most impactful way to learn. You want to be proud of your mishaps and failures. You want to wear them with pride because they are the ticket to success. So if you can see them for who they actually are, they are teachers. They're an opportunity to grow and expand. They accelerate the change, not deter it, if you again embrace them, if you honor them. And the problem is that many of us have become, how do I say this without offending anyone? But I feel like we've become a little softer because we do have a lot of privilege. We are, obviously not all of us, right? But our life is more comfortable than before. We don't have to fight for survival as much, most of us. Of course, there are regions that are really suffering and there's a lot of discord in many regions of the world right now, but I'm talking about those of us who don't have to face that fear of, am I going to survive? Will I have food to eat every day? So we've kind of become entitled. We've kind of become complacent. And I would say on the one hand, we are trained now and we're conditioned, I would say mostly through social media construct, to seek instant gratification, that instant dopamine hit. And when we don't instantly get it, we abandon ship and we go look for it elsewhere, which means that we don't stay with one task, one healing topic, one career or aligned business idea long enough to turn it into a real money generating endeavor. And many of us are quote unquote unsuccessful, not because we have bad ideas or life is against us, is because we're not willing to stay long enough with it and be okay with not getting that instant gratification right away. I see this all the time. Oh, I started a business and I posted on Instagram 3 times and I have no clients. Probably this business is not for me. What? What are you talking about? You posted 3 times. You're entering a new industry and you're learning essential building business skills. You're not going to have clients after 3 posts. And if you do, I'm so happy for you, but probably it's not going to be a sustainable stream of clients. And on the other hand, I think it's not just social media, because I was really thinking about it. I think in many ways, we're also wired like that. Since the olden days, since the hunter and gatherer days, we have always been looking for immediate satisfaction. Because back in the day, if we really look at how we used to live, we lived in immediate return environment because our actions would deliver very clear and immediate outcomes. So say we see a dangerous animal, we run. We get to safety, instant release and gratification. We find a tree with some fruit. Guess what? We sit down and we eat as much as we can, instantly meeting our needs for hunger and thirst, because we don't know when's the next time that we'll find a tree with the right fruit. So we eat a lot, instant gratification. And I feel like our modern society is built in the way that our choices do not bring immediate results. And this is, again, another reason why we experience a lot of conflict inside of us. Because say, I don't know, we get paid, those of us who are employed, we get paycheck every 2 weeks or every month. So we're working and only after some time we get paid. We exercise today, but we're probably unlikely to see the results right away. Or we save money for retirement, but we will only be able to enjoy it later. There's a lot of that delayed gratification. And I feel like in many ways, our human brain has not really caught up with this delayed return, if you will, environment that we live today, because we're still very much internally living in this immediate result landscapes. Because and I actually Googled that because I wasn't sure, because some scientists say that our brain is around 100, some say a couple of 100,000 years old, which is a big difference between the two. But if we look at our ancestors like Homo sapiens, it's around 100,000 years old of our ancestors who lived in instant gratification environment or immediate return environment. And the delayed return environment has only been there for around 500 to 600 years. You can stretch it to 1,000, if you will, if you look at like agriculture and when it started. So really, we're very much behind. Our brain is still very much catching up with a massive change in the way that we lead our lives. So again, that's why we feel the tension when it comes to building long-lasting habits, when it comes to working for longer term change like career change. Our brains often is simply evolved to prefer the quick payoffs than the longer term payoffs. And behavioral economists refer to this also as time inconsistency, meaning that we value present more than we will value future. That's why I introduced the future self concept, which obviously I did not create it, but I feel like that's a big part of this journey, like working with your future self, connecting with her and him or them. So because there is that time inconsistency and we prefer the present, that's why we overeat now, even if long-term we know that it can contribute to us being overweight or getting illnesses. We watch that one more show on Netflix, even if that means that we won't get enough sleep and we wake up tired the next morning and we try to overcompensate for lack of sleep with coffee and food. And, that slumps our energy and we are not productive. So the day's wasted. But that one episode now gives us instant gratification. So we will want to prioritize it. With our bad habits, it's the same. The immediate outcome usually feels good, but the ultimate long-term outcome will feel bad. And with good habits, it's reverse. The immediate outcome is unenjoyable. I need to research the aligned career. I need to reach out to people who could tell me more about this career. This is all uncomfortable. So immediate outcome is unenjoyable, but the ultimate outcome will feel good when I am in a new career and people are looking at me and saying, how the F did you do it? And then you can enjoy the fruit of your labor. But very rarely we don't even get to that stage, because what is immediately rewarded will be repeated. So career change journey will require us to be aware of these natural wirings, these tendencies, and find ways how to work around them, how to cheat at times, how to overcome this wiring. And stepping up when it's annoying and when you don't feel like it will be honestly the difference between a lot of you, or including me, excelling in the new career or remaining jailed by our misaligned life, guided by those misguided gremlins who have so much to say, right? Because I hear a lot these days. The reason why I'm even sharing this episode, because I've been hearing a lot these days. We're like, oh, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. I don't feel like this. Okay, then be ready to meet the consequences of misaligned life if you're not willing to take that action. I posted recently on Instagram as well, and I think it's kind of related. People still getting confused with the anatomy of purpose. And what is really heartbreaking for me to see that they will often be ruling out extremely aligned careers for themselves that are a perfect match to the blueprint just because they assume that our purpose and our alignment should not involve any activities that we don't enjoy, like at all. Wrong. Aligned careers will ask of us, just like anything else, will ask of us to learn new skill set in order to be able to actualize our purpose. So some of that skill set will not be our favorite, but it will become the vehicle, the bus, the car that will be taking us to that new career or that business that we love. A very common example I share, and this is very close to home because I see this a lot in my practice because I do work with people who are moving into light worker or healing modalities. So say someone is a gifted healer, I don't know, maybe they can become a therapist, a coach, energy worker, someone who's naturally designed to do this work. But often them doing this work means that they may need to build a practice and a business around it in order to be able to deliver the services and their gifts and share those gifts with the world, right? They need a structure. They need a energy exchange, which is me providing my service and gifts and you paying money for that, a healthy energy exchange. And because many of these people, of these healers, they either lack belief in themselves or they simply don't like the idea of running a business. If I could get like €1 every time a healer would tell me, I really don't like social, I'm like, yeah, okay. It's a business development tool. So many of them will end up never pursuing their aligned career, staying stuck employed, which is, by the way, nothing wrong. But again, for a lot of these people, this is not an aligned career. But they end up then fulfilling someone else's vision versus working on their own alignment just because they're distracted by the vehicle. But healing is their purpose. So healing is their what and why. And business is the vehicle that allows them to live their purpose. So business is their how. But many tend to mistake their how with their what and why. So they forget to look at the ultimate goal of why they want to learn the skills of building a business so they could share the gift with the world and live a very fulfilling, meaningful, abundant life. So yes, it may be required to learn how to market or sell. And I know a lot of us have been like, sales, ew. Everything is sales. Everything is sales. You meeting someone saying hello is a sale. And I know that many of us have, again, so much drama and resistance to some of these like building business activities. But what's the alternative? Wouldn't you want to learn a few new skills like marketing or business developing if you are a healer? right? Which would not only allow you to lead a purposeful led life, but also help others. It's not just about you. When you have a gift, our job is and responsibility is to find how to share it in a way that makes sense for us and others. What's the alternative? And I think I've been referring to this on this podcast. And again, it's not a term that I came up with, shit sandwich. So many of us get hyper-focused on the shit sandwich that every career, including aligned career, will have. Like, oh, I don't want to do sales. Like, again, I'm repeating myself because then we lose track of the big picture of what cultivating this new skill, what neutralizing this drama we have about it will lead us to the career that we adore. And you know what? Once you learn it, you can always outsource it moving forward. You can always outsource your shit sandwich. Don't let it distract you. Because aligned career doesn't mean we won't be required to go the extra mile and do the extra thing. And, you know, again, I am mindful because I am definitely not an advocate for the hustle culture. I feel like working hard, however, has been getting such a bad rep lately because I don't really like, and I am not myself like working, following this exploitative hustle culture, but I am a fan of hard aligned work because working hard on something you believe in is so sexy. And how rare has it become to see someone rolling up their sleeves and working hard while also honoring the rest cycles, while also honoring their value system. But when they work, they work hard. And yes, we should absolutely utilize law of attraction and we should manifest things. But again, I feel like many of us have been overcompensating with law of attraction and manifestation. And I think I speak a little bit more about that in my masculine and feminine episode. So we've been overcompensating and almost like using law of attraction or the sacred feminine as an excuse to not do the work. Because aside from law of attraction, there are many other laws of the universe that are also in play, and they are very much participating in manifestation process. Like law of inspired action, law of cause and effect, law of karma, all of which will also shows that it's not just about aligning our frequency to that which we want and doing energy work, but it's also acting as if it's done and moving forward with inspired action and working towards what we want. And when something doesn't go our way, do we channel that inner fire? Do we fight for what we want and need? Or do we like lay down on our back like a little puppy and be like, well, I guess it's a sign from the universe, it's not from me. Universe will always lovingly test our commitment, especially when it comes to massive change and especially when it comes to authentic decisions. So you pursuing your aligned goals and showing your tenacity will always pay dividends. Don't take no for an answer. Someone closed the door for you, look for a damn window. Can't find a window? Look for some secret entry doors. Knock on the neighbor's doors. Ask questions. Claim what is yours. Ask for what you want. Not at an expense of someone else. Not at an expense of hurting someone else. I never talk about that. But I'm just talking about your divine right and free will to build what you want, to ask for what you want. And it's not about giving up. And again, the reason why I recorded this podcast, because sometimes I get asked is like, okay, so when do I know that I should abandon the new idea? When do I know that I am actually delusional and I'm just pursuing something that is completely unrealistic? How do I know when to stop, that it chose wrong and I should give up? This is my answer. If in the heart of hearts, you still burn for it, and deep in your soul you believe this could be a path for you, and when you think about it you get excited and it gives you energy, my answer is never give up. If you need to get a job, additional job for money, do it and continue working on what you believe in. That's it. Simple as that. I recently had an example in my personal life. I want to share with you about this. It's not that I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so mastered at it. Not at all. But because I kept on getting so many reactions from my like immediate environment when I shared them the story as a laugh, I was like, oh, people don't do that. That made me realize that. So basically the story is kind of embarrassing, but hey ho. I think you at this point heard a lot of embarrassing things about my life. But basically what happened, as you know, in this day and age, I don't use a lot of cash. None of us do, right? It's like Apple Pay or cards or whatever. So I had to go somewhere and I had to draw some cash. So I went to an ATM. I drew some cash. I got very excited about the cash. I'm like sometimes like an excited puppy. And I forgot to get my card out. So basically I left my credit card in the ATM, right? I got the cash and moved on with my life. And I only realized that I didn't have my credit card 5 hours later. So obviously, I kind of freaked out. I called the bank, I blocked it, ordered a new one. And they said, listen, there were some bank holidays and they're like, you will only get it like in 5 days, basically. And I was like, okay, that's fine, So the next day I got up and I went to my local branch because I basically wanted to get some cash out from our account, right? Because I don't have a card till I get my new card. And I'm one of those people who don't have a lot of credit cards, believe it or not. My background is in finance. Oh my goodness. I think, I know the lesson. Since then, I did a lot of introspection and I know exactly what the message was, what the learning opportunity is for me, what the reminder was for me. So like I did my work, I evaluated. That's why I find it really funny that it happened the way it did. And I'm not even going to tell you all of the details because actually more things happen after. But anyway, so I went to a bank. And, very confident because I feel I have a chip on my shoulder because I'm like, hey, I worked in banking. I know you people. Like, I see right through you. I know how it works. So come in, get a nice cup of coffee as I wait for my turn. And then the lady goes like, how can I help you? And I said, yeah, I'd like to, get some cash out while I wait for my card. And she was like, we don't do cash operations. I was like, I'm sorry? And it literally took me a moment to like look around and like double check again if I was like, I'm in the bank. I'm in my bank. And you just told me you don't do cash operations. Did I hear it right? She was like, yeah, we don't do cash operations since 2019. Again, I looked at her. I was like flabbergasted. I was like, excuse me, can I just like, can we just go through this again? Can you walk me through it? I often do that. With a lot of respect. I was like, talk to me as if I was a 5-year-old. Like, you're saying to me that in a bank, which has my account, which has money on it, you are not doing cash operations. She was like, correct. We don't do cash operations. I was like, so what would you advise me to do? When I lost my card, I had to block it, my own fault, take full responsibility, but I don't have cash on me now. Right? Like, okay, I can obviously take it from my partner or whatever, but like that was not the point. And she said, well, maybe you can ask someone to borrow you. I literally sat there just like blinking, like processing. It's like, that's what a bank teller was offering me in a bank that I have accounts with, right? And hold quite a lot of money in investments. This is her response. And then I processed it. And then I said, with all due respect, I refuse to accept your answer. I would like to offer for us to sit down and brainstorm together how we're going to get some cash out for me. And she was shocked by my answer too then. But this is how I'm thinking. I was like, no, I don't want to borrow any money. Also, it's ridiculous that a bank teller would tell me that. And I said, no, with all due respect, I was not rude, but I was pretty to the point. I was like, no, what is going to happen? We're going to brainstorm, and she looked at me and she was confused. I was like, yeah, you must have, a bank card that belongs to this branch. I'm happily transferring you money from my account right now on my phone, and you are going to draw perhaps cash from me or whatever. We will figure it out. And then we did. Turns out there was a bank card that was just got sent to the branch. She activated the card and she ended up drawing some cash for me. Right? So what I did not take no for an answer. And again, when I was telling this story to some of my friends, they were like, whoa, you are like so brave. How did you do that? I'm like, what? What do you mean? They go like, oh, I would never say that. I was like, but why? Why wouldn't you question something that someone tells you? Especially if that is something that is causing you inconvenience, or that is something that's in a way in order to pursue your goals. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be emotional. We can always be polite and respectful, but still ask for what we want and not become complacent. Right? Because it's your aligned life we're talking about. It's the quality of your living we're talking about, because time is ticking anyway. So we can be spending that time entertaining our fears and accepting the no's, or we could be building a freaking legacy, a life that we're so excited and proud of. So are you going to fight for it? Are you going to go that extra mile? When they tell you, you are like unrealistic, you can't build a career that you love and get paid, how do you react? How much does it affect you? Are you going to try it for 2 months? And then if you don't have thousands of followers on Instagram and like hundreds of new clients, you'd be like, oh, probably this business is not for me. What? If you truly believed that this was your path, you'd have patience and tenacity and a lot of energy to make it happen. You're starting a new business. Many of you are moving into completely new industries that you never worked in before. There might be no clients for some time because we're not privileged. We're not entitled to clients. At first, we will be learning so much, not only about this new industry and career, but about us as well. And also just think about it. Like, let's zoom in and look at the timeline of things, the timeline of humanity. Right now, every single one of us, we have this unprecedented chance to earn a living from just showing up on Instagram or internet or TikTok or whatever. Many of you who are moving into healing modalities have this unprecedented opportunity to earn a living from your craft, where in the past, so many of our ancestors were killed and persecuted and lived somewhere in the forest, which I still would love to do, not gonna lie, but lived somewhere like hiding because it wasn't safe for them, let alone live a comfortable life like we can now. It was never possible like that before. And you're gonna give up on your purpose in 2 months? You will never regret striving for what you want, even if you don't fully get it. Are you still willing to strive for it, work for it? If it's important, or if it serves a purpose, or if it makes you happen, work for it, fight for it. I was listening, another example I want to share with you made me laugh. Well, it's not funny, but I was like, yes. I was listening to Life Coach School podcast, Brooke Castillo, I adore her. And she was giving that example about an article that she read years ago. And basically was about a person, I don't remember his name or if she even mentioned the name, but he was basically coming out as homosexual, as gay to his family. And because he was coming from a very religious family, his mother basically said, I am essentially, rejecting this. I cannot have a child whom is homosexual because of my religious beliefs. And I don't know exactly how the story went, but this is essentially the gist of it, right? And obviously that is awful. That breaks my heart. I can't even comprehend something like this, but hey ho, that's a story. And you know what his response was like? No, I refuse to take your answer. I'm still showing up for every holiday. I'm still keeping in touch with the family. I'm still gonna text. I'm still gonna talk to you. I'm still gonna love on you. And while you have a right to have your experience, I also have a right to not accept it. Just don't accept your answer. I'm coming. I'm going to be there. It's just kind of like, thanks, no thanks. And I was like, wow. I don't even know how much, because I know how scary, how vulnerable, how sometimes life-shattering it should be to come out, even out of authenticity closet, like many of my clients and many of you will be doing or have done, let alone come out of this closet, right? And be really honest with the family, knowing that there may be a lot of judgment. So for him to be like, no, I love you and I am still going to show up, even if you feel like that's not okay. This is my life. I'm owning my identity. I'm owning who I am. And at some point you will learn how to do that too. And I'm going to show you how to do that by accepting me first. How powerful. So again, it's a little fiery. It's a little long. Just looked at the time. But that is my reminder for you. Don't give up. Want to change your life? Do it. Again, another example that I have is like people join maybe containers or programs, or, they buy all of these programs and never fully attend them. And then they're like, oh, nothing works. It didn't work for me. That person didn't help me, or this program didn't help me. And my question is, did you do the work? Did you do the work? And I can speak for myself many times because I join a lot of programs and sometimes I will not do the work. And at times when I do achieve spectacular results is because I keep myself responsible for getting what I came for. I do the work. Not my therapist, not my coach, not my teacher, not my guru, not my energy healer, not my astrologer, me. I take ownership. I don't point fingers. If I join, it's up to me to get what I came for because I work for it. If I'm not clear, I ask questions. I raise my hand. If I don't understand something, I ask again, over and over and over again, like 100 times until I understand. Again, politely. I don't assume that I'm entitled to any learning, any knowledge, any change. I work for it. No one can do it for me. Something didn't work for you. You got a little bit of a rejection. Okay, have your 10-minute funeral, feel your feelings, and then ask yourself, why did that happen? What's the lesson? Get curious. Do the thought work. What am I thinking of myself? What am I thinking about the situation? What am I thinking about people involved in me? What am I thinking about my partner? What is going on? Get awareness and then act from there. Because at the end of the day, there are so many things in life that we can't control. The political climate, the war, the color of our skin, the background. There are so many things that is out of our control and we can't always change that. And when we focus on everything that we think that we can't change, we lose track of what we can change and can control. And so many things we actually can control. And we underestimate how much we can influence our own life. We're the OG influencers of our own lives. You want to travel? You want to create a lifestyle, a travel lifestyle, a laptop lifestyle? Do it. You can do it. Work towards it. Plan it. Try it. Talk to people who do it. Learn it. Research it. Trial and error it. Do a little test project for a month or two and see how that feels. And by the way, this is just completely random and intuitive reading. I feel like, as you already know, you don't need to be a fortune teller to know that. In general, the international climate is changing, not just actual climate as in with the weather, but also when it comes to many countries being open to travelers and foreigners and so on and so forth. So intuitively, when I tune into the energy and read the landscape, you probably want to travel in the next 5 years because it's going to change massively when it comes to safety of travel and when it comes to accessibility of many countries. So up to 5 years, maybe even less, until it starts shifting massively. So if you want to travel, you travel. Okay? This is just kind of energy read, which has nothing to do with career change, right? You are much, much more powerful than you think. So I need you to stop hiding. I need you to stop lying to yourself because it serves no one. And it keeps you in pain. And there's nothing more painful than living and dying with this untapped potential still inside of you. So go get it and don't give up. Thank you for spending time with me today. If you resonate with this content, please subscribe and leave a little review to put a smile on my face. And if you'd like to take this work further and have my one-on-one support in switching to an aligned career path using my holistic career change method, make sure you head over to the show notes and book your free consultation call. I can't wait to meet you. Have a nice day.